Hi everyone, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I have an idea to use your Copic markers in maybe a non-traditional way. Now I have these 4 colors here. I don't end up using that brown E39 color, but I do use the other 3. And I have a T-square ruler here. I have a piece of cardstock and this gorgeous floral set called Fancy Blooms from Pinkfresh Studios. So here's a photo of the finished card. It came together really quickly, has maybe an unexpected pop of color, and it was just a fun way to kind of get my Copics out and play with them kind of in a non-committal way. I didn't really feel like coloring in some stamps, but I wanted to play with some pretty colors and you know, take advantage of this big investment that I have with my alcohol markers. So basically I'm just using this ruler to create a straight edge and lay down a little pop of color. So this is a fun way to kind of, you know, add this striped element to your card. Another way you could do this is with, you know, like some colored cardstock and cutting it into strips. I absolutely love when I see people do that. Laura Basson does that sort of thing all the time. I just don't find that I have the patience for it, because either I'll cut something not straight, or I don't know, I'll struggle with the adhesive or something like that. So I absolutely love stripes. I love the look of it, but I don't always have the patience to mess with the, you know, strips of paper. So here I'm making a mess, realizing that I'm kind of, you know, getting some ink on the ruler and kind of putting it on spots where I didn't want it on the panel. So I came back in with my sand eraser, which thankfully fixed it all up. But if you don't have one of these in your crafty stash, be sure to order one, because they're a game changer. If you smudge or get fingerprints or just basically some schmutz on your card that you don't want there, this is the way to take care of it, because it'll just kind of, you know, use the gritty sand element just to take down that layer of the paper. So anyway, yeah, if you don't want to use some paper strips, then use your Copics in the straight edge and kind of lay down some pretty ink color that way. Now here I'm using this stamp set, and if it is still available, I will link it in the video description box below with all the other available items. But I'm basically picking which bloom I want. I want to go with one of the bigger ones because the design is pretty simple. So I want to make sure that it's big enough on the composition to kind of take up enough space and have an impact on the card. So I line it up where I want it on this panel in my little mini Misty, and I am conditioning the stamp with my hand. That's to get any manufacturer's goo off of the stamp, so I get a nice even impression. And then I have this VersaFine Clair. This is an alcohol-based pigment ink, so it will take a bit to dry, so you want to make sure you don't stick your finger in it. But I'm just going to stamp it a few times, use my press tool, and really get a nice even impression. For some reason the middle of the flower wasn't cooperating, so I had to come at that a few different times. But ultimately, very simple design, nice and flat, and it's brought together really nicely with that pop of color. Now these are new to me little watercolors that I got. It's from a company called Uli. It's on Etsy, and I will link their information in the video description box below. But basically, that little mini pan came with those 6 metallics, and then I purchased an additional black half pan of charcoal, which is what I'm using here. So I'm using a water brush pen just to kind of activate the watercolor, and then I put like a pool of it on the edge of an acrylic block, and then I'm using the water brush pen to flick that splatter on the panel. And now here I'm flipping through my sentiment book. This is my storage solution for all my pre-cut die cut sentiments, and I'm figuring out which one I want to use for this particular card. So I have lots of options to choose from, but I know I'm going to put it in typical fashion in the lower right, because, you know, that's my jam. But I have these Pinkfresh, I think they're called Perfect Sentiments. I have a bunch of these stamped and die cut out ready to go, and I figure this black one will be a perfect complement to this design. So I just attached that in the lower right. It's nice and flat, easy to ship, has some unexpected design elements from that little bit of splatter, and it came together really quickly. So if you need some card ideas or some ways to use your Copics that don't involve some, you know, high-tech coloring, then maybe give this a try. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really does help me out when you hit the thumbs up, because it encourages YouTube to share my video around with others. So I appreciate you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.